Okay, hi, welcome everyone. This is Lori Kowalski. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move on to the instructional personnel items. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the instructional personnel items as listed in their entirety. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on to non-instructional personnel items. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the Oyster Bay East Norwich Central School District hereby approves the non-instructional personnel items as listed in their entirety. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'd like to move on now to the proposed resolutions for the New York State School Boards Association. If everyone can maybe pull that up and we'll go through them one by one. Hold on, I just got to get to them. Okay, the first proposition is the reserve fund amendments to eliminate the use of the short-term borrowing. So when we run into an issue where our tax receipts do not come in time for our expenses, we typically go out for what's called TANs, tax anticipation notes, which has lots of costs associated with it, origination costs, expenses, etc. So this proposition would allow us that if we ever run into that situation where we're just waiting for funds to come in and we have that a time period we have to cover, that we'd be allowed to borrow from our capital reserve funds. Is there anybody have any comments, or should we just take a vote and see if we would like to back this proposition?
Is there does one fund pay interest to the other fund?
Or what do you mean, our
Does
capital
the
reserve
general
fund?
fund pay interest to the reserve fund? When
I
I
don't-
borrow money?
Obviously, that's not specified, but I have no idea.
Lori, would you like me to jump in real quick?
Sure.
So interfund transfers do happen between the two accounts. Every account does make interest and interest is allocated. This would just be borrowing within a certain time of year between the two. We have not seen specific guidance. If or when this does come through, we would expect that OSC or the state would issue guidance specifically on how to address the accounting of it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Has the state said why they want to eliminate it?
No, what the state hasn't. What's going on is that I think the school districts are saying, why should we go to all this expense for TANs? When we have the money in our capital reserve funds, we can just borrow from that for the time period.
Okay.
So why don't we take a vote? Is all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion carries. So we can support proposition number one. Proposition number two is, okay, it concerns parent advocates at CSE meetings. I guess apparently there is no specification about the qualifications of parent advocates, and also federal and state law does not sufficiently define the role of parent advocates, nor does it provide any oversight regarding who is qualified to serve as an advocate or how they may operate. So this proposition is that we would like the New York State School Boards Association to support the adoption of legislation which would require New York State Education Department to develop regulations, providing oversight over special education parent advocates in terms of qualifications for advocacy and representation of parents, rules of professional conduct, and enforcement procedures for the same. Is there any discussion? Okay, if you, so I guess we'll take a vote. All in favor of supporting this?
Aye.
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 Okay, all opposed? Okay, so we can support proposition number 2. Proposition number 3 is local control, and it contains 2 resolutions. Resolve the New York State School Board Association support proposals, guidelines, and/or legislation in favor of local school district control and/or regional by county control over matters pertaining to safety protocols and operations regarding the prevention of the spread of communicable diseases. It's basically saying that since the state is so large, you know, the spread can be different in different localities, and that we should really have more control at the local level concerning masking, cohorting, closures, remote learning, etc. Any discussion?
Lori, my question is, Proposition 3 is a little difficult because there's 2 different resolutions within it. So
Yes.
how do we vote if we agree with one resolution and not the other?
Well, I think we'll vote on each one of these,
Okay.
and then we'll just, you know, provide our support just for the one that we want. And I don't know why they did it this way either.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Yep. So let's look at the top. So are we okay with the top portion of it? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All opposed?
I oppose it.
You oppose the top portion?
Yes. I
Okay,
think
do you
that I think local government and local health departments should make decisions. I'm not sure school districts should be making decisions related to health and communicable diseases. So I'm stating that they want it to be school districts and local health departments. I vote no.
Departments of health are in the best position to determine risk of communicable spread of illnesses within the local. Okay, so it's school districts and local health departments.
Right. I think local governments, I'm not opposed to Nassau County and Nassau County Department of Health making decisions, but I'm not sure school districts are qualified. So that's my opinion. So I have to vote no to that.
Well, I think it's the way it's worded. If you look at it, it almost, I mean, the way I think it probably should read is that the local health departments can determine the risk, but the measures that we have to take in the schools concerning masking, closures, remote learnings could be at the local school district level. You know what I mean?
I understand, but that's not how it's written. So the
Right.
way it's written, I cannot support it.
Okay, anybody else have any comments, or should we take a vote again since we clarified this? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye or no.
Okay, motion carries on that one, the top. Here's the second portion, is resolved that the New York State School Boards Association opposes mandates from the state education department that require school districts to implement curriculum regarding matters not pertaining to standard academic subjects. The needs of school districts across the state and the values of their constituents within each community vary greatly, as the structure of the public education system of the state is designed to have local control by district through the election process of representative school board members. School districts should maintain control over choice and topic of curriculum. Any discussion?
What would be an example of something the state says has to be added to the curriculum that doesn't pertain to standard academic subjects?
I think this is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think pertains to sex education.
Okay.
Probably. Or it could, I think that's.
Yeah, because there's another one regarding sex education. That's what I thought originally, and then
Right.
Clearly states
Yeah.
that.
Or it could also be something related to a topic that is not part of the New York State curriculum. So it could be something like that too.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
It's
just.
something that is taught more at the college level and not at the high school level.
Right.
You know, the only thing I question is we have statewide exams and statewide regions. Is this now opening a can of worms of we're going to have a standardized test based on the whole state, but each individual district of the state is educating differently? So how would that be a standard exam anymore if that kids are measured against each other districts in the state if the education is completely different?
Well, because, I think that's probably why they put in that not pertaining to standard academic subjects. I think this is just, overreach. This wants to try to prevent, and not that it's written the best, or the overreaching of the state to force us to teach certain
Okay, thank you.
subjects. So
is it safe to assume when things like standard academic subjects would be, math, science, English? So it's saying that if they're trying to implement curriculum other than the things we think of as standard academic.
Yep.
Right, okay.
I think that goes to Mike's question of what kinds of things could they be talking about? And that's why I thought it includes the sex education. I don't know what else it includes. They may try to overreach. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's move on to the others. Parental rights, number 4. Resolved that the New York State School Boards Association advocate for the adoption of parental rights legislation. Such legislation will protect parents' fundamental right to direct the upbringing of their children, which includes but is not limited to matters of education, medical care, moral, religious, and character training. In addition, parents have the right to be informed about their children's educational programs and should require school districts to promote parental involvement by providing access to curricula and instructional materials and legally protect the parent's right to withdraw a child from portions of school curriculum. And I guess the rationale is that parents have the right to determine the upbringing of their children and should be aware of the programs, books, and materials that children are exposed to. In addition, parents should have the final say in what medical treatment their kids undergo and be part of what is taught to them in school through their local school boards. I have a problem with just this, the way it's written, in that legally protect the parent's right to withdraw a child from portions of school curriculum. That could be math, right? That could be science. That could be English. Yeah. So my opinion, I can't back this for that reason. And I think the medical care, moral, religious, and I don't know. Any other discussion on this one?
I'm in
agree with you,
agreement.
Laura. It's too broad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too broad. Also, Lori, I feel like it puts a lot of burden on the district in terms of things about keeping the parents informed, providing access to curricula. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Parents already do, but is this now that we have to start sending out copies detailed of curriculum to every parent? It's very general, and I think it can lead to a lot of added burden on the part of the school district. So similar to what you said, being withdrawn from portions of the school curricula. So I can't support this proposition.
And I think, it's funny too, because if you read it, all this is saying is that the New York State School Boards Association advocate for the adoption of parental rights legislation, such, and I think that's just so broad, and we don't know what they're going to adopt and advocate for just based on these terms. So, to be able to withdraw your child from portions of the school curriculum, I think is just way too broad. Okay. So, all in favor of this one? All opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now let's move on to the religious exemption. Resolved that the New York State School Boards Association advocate for the reinstatement of the religious or moral objection to immunization. Rationale, parents in consultation with their family physician have the fundamental right to make medical decisions that are in the best interest of their child. school districts should not be placed in the position of policing family medical decisions. I'll jump in first in that. I don't mind having this religious or any exemption for the COVID vaccine because it's such a new vaccine. But looking at what's just happening out in upstate New York with a new polio case, I'm not sure I can agree to this for all immunizations. Anyone else?
Yeah, if parents don't immunize against whatever is required, can they still go to school, or are they required to homeschool?
No, this would be, in other words, they can still go to school. You'd have that exemption to still allow you to go to school.
There are many vaccines that are longstanding, proven to work, and they're the reasons that diseases like, measles, mumps, polio were eradicated in this country due to those vaccines. And this is another one that's written very broadly. And if that means that people can stop completely immunizing their children from all of those diseases, I'm not sure where that'll lead to what the future will look like for children in school and these diseases coming back. Hence the polio case up in Rockland County. So I think it's too broad. I understand people's concern with a new vaccine, but to me, this reads that it means all vaccines, and that's very concerning.
Okay, so let's take a vote on this. All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's move on to single occupancy zoning. Resolved that the New York State School Boards Association oppose legislation that would eliminate the single occupancy zoning for localities. I think we all know what this pertains to. In the last budget vision to eliminate single-family occupancy zoning laws. With increased units constructed on existing properties, our schools will be overrun with additional students and no additional taxes paid to cover the costs of educating more children. Overcrowding our roads and infrastructure will be another unintended consequence school districts will have to bear. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so support that proposition. And the final proposition is sex education. Resolved that the New York State School Boards Association oppose passage of A6616, rationale dictating comprehensive sex education for all K through 12 students from Albany is not in the best interest of our students or local communities. This is another example of the overreach of the legislature in New York State education. Any discussion? So let's take a vote. All in favor of this proposition?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we can support those. And Dr. Yanni, we're going to have to somehow communicate this to the New York State School Boards Association.
There is a meeting, I believe, and Darlene sent the notification yesterday where.
But I think that was Nassau Suffolk, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I will follow up on this one, and I think if there is a dinner where there is a representative from the board, they can go there, then we'll make sure we'll arrange that.
Yeah, I think that there supposedly is some type of meeting. It might even be Zoom, I think, in September, that we can attend. But I think our decision on this, we'll have to coordinate to see how we send this decision to the state.
Yeah, I think it wasn't, Darlene, was this the Crest Hollow, or the Fox Hollow meeting that we had sent the other day?
I don't believe so. I know there's an annual conference in October, the end of October. I can look into it further and advise.
Okay, we'll do that, Ms. Kowalski, and then we'll follow up.
Okay, sounds good.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move down. I think we have to have now a motion to enter executive session to discuss personnel matters. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay, and we can end this meeting. Thank you, everyone who attended.
Thank you. Have a good day,
Thanks.
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.